So if you're looking for Twitter drama, you've come to the right place. We are Drama Central on Twitter, and let's just jump right in. So here you're going to see a lot about this, be it on YouTube, on Reddit, and Twitter, stuff like that. Essentially, Elon was teasing everyone with, "Hey, I'm going to give you an inside look on whether or not Twitter suppressed the Hunter Biden story." Quick summary answer looks like yes, but there is something more to be said about this, and there's a couple things I want to say. So first is, very few people are going to give you good information regarding this, and everyone's going to have their own political bent. I try my best to be neutral and just read stuff as I see it. I don't like either party, so it doesn't really make a huge difference to me. I just prefer to be informed and try to do the best I can for you. So I want to get that out of the way. The next thing is I think, actually, to be perfectly frank, Elon is playing the politics game because he wants to distract from the real story. And that is a real shame that a lot of people are going to fall for it because, perfectly frank, most people are lemmings and they fall for whatever Elon says. That's how it is. Why do I say that? So right here, look at this. Read the headline. Twitter's credit rating withdrawn by S&P on lack of information. And I think, in fact, this is the real story. And Elon's just trying to divert people's attention. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to fall for it. And I don't think I'm talking crazy stuff that if you're Elon Musk, you have a company and the financials aren't looking good. Now the S&P is like not even giving you a credit rating, and you try to distract people like, okay, don't talk about our financials. Like look, here's Hunter Biden laptop stuff. Go talk about that, right? And regardless of whether or not Hunter Biden laptop thing turns out to be a real important issue, doesn't change the fact of the company's financials. And that's why I said I think Elon Musk is really trying to distract people. Let's read through this. So this is like an older thing. It says here, S&P downgraded the company 5 notches to B minus from BB plus on November 1st, right? So we're at a month past it, but I'm just saying basically they were downgrading it. And now it says the rating firm expected to, quote, obtain more information regarding the financial capital structure and any potential changes of operating strategy. Still, the rating firm said, quote, may not occur until the company's new debt is syndicated. So, basically, they don't have enough information, they don't feel, to decide what to do with a credit rating for them. And this is really important, especially if you're trying to run a business and you have a lot of debt and maybe you're trying to, borrow more money to keep running. Who knows? Your credit rating does matter. The same way that, for example, if you guys want to go out and buy a house, your credit score matters, right? You guys know that. The other thing is, too, is like, when you look at all the whole story of the Twitter situation, right, you can see the headline, Musk has a mountain of debt, falling revenue, surging costs. Like those three combinations, you owe money, you're losing money coming in, and more money you spend going out essentially is the problem. So like all these three things don't look good. It's adding up to be something bad. And essentially this is sort of why I think Elon Musk is tweeting out the whole Biden laptop thing, really. You look at this, another one. Twitter keeps missing its advertising targets as woes mount, right? And I think this is something that matters as well, is Twitter is a really successful during a sporting event, right? And we got some internal documents, basically, reports that Twitter's not doing so great, even though the World Cup is going on. They should be making tons of cash. But in fact, we'll read the description here. World Cup has historically been a boon for Twitter, bringing in a record traffic and influx of advertising dollars. But this time, when the global soccer tournament started on November 20th, Twitter's U.S. ad revenue was running at 80% below internal expectations for the week. 3 people with knowledge of the figure said. So they're not making as much money as they thought they would. This number here, I was looking at this. This is saying Twitter had 3,980 advertisers in May. And now in October, they had 2,315, right? So they're losing a lot of advertisers. And then this is another thing that's really interesting too. Remember, Musk was sort of picking fights with Tim Cook. They ultimately met and made up. But the basic gist of it was there was a shooting at a nightclub, and I'm sure you guys heard about it in the news. I haven't talked about it on the channel, but it happened. And I guess what happens, which I was actually didn't even consider, but a lot of big companies or companies in general pull their ads during those times because they don't necessarily want their branding and product, advertising to be alongside tweets about tragic events, those kind of things. So it's kind of an interesting thing, that the phenomenon that happens. And so it was just sort of one of the reasons why Apple would have paused. Now going back to more content moderation stuff, which I'm sure you guys want to talk about, we're getting there. Is Kanye West has kicked off Twitter again. Basically, I guess he was like tweeting out pictures of swastikas and stuff, and you can't make this stuff up. And there were early reports of of Kanye, and I remember reading a bunch of different ones. Like I guess he would talk with his employees like how much he likes Hitler and how cool they were, that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's just I don't know why we have to spend any time talking to this guy. I don't. And the reason why I say that is, I mean, I know why, because he's worth a lot of money and it's a funny story and stuff like that. But I was like, who likes this guy? I guess somebody does. And you read the details of this stuff. You can see here. It says the U.S. rapper who goes by the name of Ye posted a series of erratic tweets, one of which appeared to show a symbol combining a swastika and a Jewish star. And then actually Musk tweeted out then. West had violated our rule against incitement to violence. This is from Musk's tweet. And then his account will be suspended. And then again, this is Kanye. He was like talking with Alex Jones. And then he was just like saying Hitler was awesome, this kind of stuff. As I can read here. West praised Nazi leader Adolf Hitler and ranted about sin, pornography, and the devil. So, all right. That's what's going on with that. Now the stuff you all been waiting for those of you all about Hunter Biden, we'll go through it. So I'll just say my initial thoughts of this stuff is for people who are all about, Hunter Biden, stuff like that, you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff on Reddit. I'm sure there's going to be huge Reddit threads about this. I read through this stuff for myself. So like I said, my general opinion is it looks like, yes, there was some content moderation to limit the spread of the Hunter Biden story. So that part looks to be true. And it looks like Twitter did do that on purpose. They purposely made a decision for that. Now, the other thing is, too, which is going on, it looks like that essentially the Democrats had more connections at Twitter than the Republicans. They gave more campaign finance money, it looks like, or actually Twitter gave more to the Democrats, as it looked like, and more employees at Twitter were most likely Democratic, and then therefore had more friends and connections to people who worked in Democratic campaigns. So that part I don't disagree with. I read through this stuff myself. We can go through every single detail if you like, but I'm just summarizing because there's like a crazy amount of detail you could go through with these things about whether or not Hunter Biden's a bad person and stuff like that. So I will say flat out, I think Hunter Biden's a bad person. I got no problem saying that. It looks like he has probably done drugs and probably made a bunch of home, boy and girl naughty tapes, that kind of stuff. I don't want to get too censored by YouTube, but these kind of things. And one of the things I think is kind of crazy about this whole issue, and you're talking about the Hunter Biden thing, is this is something that happens among elites in the U.S. and you can say any country, is maybe their children do bad stuff. And what I find disturbing about the whole Hunter Biden story is that there's people will say, oh, Hunter Biden's so bad, Hunter Biden's so bad. And why don't they ever talk about like Ivanka being bad or Don Jr. being bad? And I'm just telling you guys, I think they're all bad. And I don't think that's a difficult thing for me to say. But for whatever reason, people are always like, oh, only Hunter Biden's bad. And then on the other side, oh, only Ivanka, Trump is bad. And it's just like, why can't we just say they're all bad? And why can't we just agree that we should all fight corruption? Why is that so hard? And that's why, I always just find it weird, this kind of stuff. And often too, I don't know if people out there are robots, right? Who like just say, crazy thing after crazy thing after crazy thing. Or if they really believe the stuff that they say. I have no idea, but I can just tell you, Ivanka was at Penn when I was there. She went to my school, and I know these kind of people. I don't know Hunter Biden personally or anything like that, but I don't have no problem saying that. Yeah, maybe Hunter Biden is a scumbag, a sleazebag, whatever you want to say. And the problem with this story, though, is that even if Hunter Biden is a bad individual, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some like he has all of our nuclear codes or anything like that, right? Just because you don't like someone. Because one of the problems that I was looking through this story is, yes, it looks like Twitter suppressed the story, so that I agree with. I'm telling you. The other problem with though is that is a question of how bad is this thing? Okay, so one is you get a bunch of damaging stuff that happens, and if you guys don't know the whole story. Essentially, Hunter Biden gave his laptop to this guy. The guy was like a repair guy, and he had a policy of if you keep the laptop for 90 days, or if you don't come back and get your laptop for 90 days, then he'll just keep it. It's essentially what it was. And so it ended up there's like all this crazy stuff on his laptop of like, family pictures and stuff like that, and also too, bedtime partying kind of videos. I'm sure you guys get what that was. One of the things that is a problem with this with this story is that after the laptop was discovered, it was given to I think Trump's lawyer dude, the guy from New York. Oh, you guys got to type in a comment. I just can't think of his name. Rudy Giuliani. Okay, Rudy Giuliani is a live show. Rudy Giuliani had the laptop, and then I was reading, say, for example, NBC News is like, "Hey, can you give me a copy of the hard drive?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Okay," and that was kind of weird. And the other issue was too is they had people over at the Washington Post actually two experts go through the computer, and they were saying that they weren't sure. Is the hard drive, how can I say, best way to phrase it, like not tampered with? That's the best way to describe it. And I can read through this to you guys yourself. Actually, I'll read through this because this is the part that where the Twitter story and the laptop story are two different stories. And one is, I'm telling you, so yes, Twitter looks like suppressed the story, but is the laptop thing even a deal, right? So if you read Reddit, yes, Biden has nuclear codes and all this crazy stuff on there. That's what the Reddit people are going to tell you. But I was reading this there. I'll read it to you guys. It says, in their examinations, Green and Williams found evidence that people other than Hunter Biden had accessed the drive and written files to it, both before and after the initial story in the New York Post, and long after the laptop itself had been turned over to the FBI. So that right there, it creates a lot of problems. If you guys can understand what they're saying, right? So like I said, I don't care one way or the other, about any of this stuff. I just, would want to live in a truthful world. In this sort of, we live in a world where like you can just literally make stuff up, and you can literally like make stuff up and then put it on a hard drive. And so knowing what is true and not true is very, very difficult with the laptop story. For example, I wouldn't be shocked if, say, Hunter Biden took bribes. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not shocked. As I said, I'm not defending Hunter Biden whatsoever, but I don't just make some random stuff up. The reason why that is, I was mentioning the Hunter Biden thing for those of you who care about this stuff. I was looking at one thing too. I guess he's been accused of taking bribes from both Ukraine and China. I'm looking at it right here. It says earlier this year, Giuliani presented representative gave NBC a copy of the laptop's drive. Biden and his company had received about $11 million through his work as an attorney and a board member with the Ukraine company accused of bribery, and his work with the Chinese businessman who has been accused of fraud, right? So Hunter Biden denies these things, but it is what it is. So, and if it turns out that he took bribes from Ukraine and China, so be it, right? I don't care. That's fine. He can be guilty. He should go to prison. Those kind of things. Like, I'm not defending it. What I think is kind of crazy about these kind of things is like people just believe whatever they want to believe, and so that part bothers me. And I understand, say, when you talk about this, Twitter stuff, you think it's so important that Twitter, suppress this story. And the reason why that I think there's more to this conversation than just, conspiracy theories that, he's all sorts of this crazy stuff going on, is that there are a couple things going on. So one is when the story is released and it starts spreading on social media, the Democrats would say, okay, crap, what do we do? Is this damaging information? Okay, so in that regard, the natural reaction. Okay, how bad is the damage? Okay, so I'm with you guys on there, right? We're this together. The other issue becomes is what if some of this information coming out is just basically fabricated lies? Exactly, right? So there's two different things. So one is there a bunch of damaged information? Two, is there a bunch of lies in there, right? So you're trying to deal with a couple different things. And then three, the other issue is, as it turned out, I was reading through stuff. I guess when you have someone's access to a whole laptop, you have access to phone numbers, emails, all kinds of things. And so then you have a doxing situation there, right? Where you can, give personal information to all kinds of stuff, and you don't necessarily want that on the net. So in terms of like social media and these kind of things, I am with social media companies that say, it's against our policy to let people put a bunch of personal information of someone else on the internet. And you can disagree. You can say, no, you should be able to, put everyone's phone numbers and emails on social media because we're all about free speech, right? I mean, I get it. You could make that argument. I would disagree with you on that. And social media companies, they may be liable for these kind of things because you just don't know what can happen. And so essentially, you got to figure out, okay, what do we do with this? Now, you can certainly make the case, and I'm agreeing with you guys. For those who are, all about hating on the former Twitter CEO, and you love the new one, but I guess. According to what I read, Jack Dorsey, who was the former Twitter CEO, didn't wasn't knowledgeable of the stuff that was happening. And so there's actually three stories here that I want to really make clear. One is Twitter's financial situation looks bad, and you're losing advertisers, and you get a poor credit rating, and you're in debt, and you're losing revenue, all this stuff. Financial situation looks bad, right? So this is like Twitter as a business. So what Musk is trying to do is get you distracted and say, oh well, support me because I love free speech, and he's really pushing to get essentially people who are on the right to support him, which is fine for his business. But I don't want to lose fact of, like, I prefer to talk about business kind of stuff, not whether or not there's some crazy conspiracy going on. So he can certainly, you guys, for those of you who are on the right, you can certainly make the case that yes, Twitter is totally against you and they're content moderating you. Okay, you can make that case. Go for it. The thing that's interesting about this, though, is that Elon himself has also kicked Kanye West off the platform. So he himself actually does believe in content moderation and is not necessarily a free speech, all things goes kind of thing. And sort of with this laptop stuff, I think you also have an issue of like misinformation, which is a big problem. If you just allow all things on there, people can just basically make up crap about Elon, which actually Elon doesn't like himself. For example, if I make a fake account and say, my name is Elon Musk and I think we should sell all my Tesla stock or whatever, he will actually ban you. So actually Elon himself is also against misinformation. This is like his own policies. I'm not just making random stuff up. And he's also against, inciting violence, which is with the Kanye situation. So I find it deeply disturbing when we have any kind of discussions like this. There's a lot of people out there who just completely turn their brains off and just believe what they want to believe, and I find that disturbing. And so, like I said, on this channel, I try to do my best to explain the situation as best as I understand it. Like I said, I think this whole thing honestly is just a big distraction away to get people away from talking about Twitter's financials, and it looks like they're in bad shape. And this, and this stuff too, though, the reason why we do talk about it, because I do think it's interesting to talk about how you run a business and the choices that you make when running said business. So I'm going to keep doing this story. I don't shy away from politics, and I'm happy to talk with people about these kind of things. But I try to talk about it in the most, most reasonable way possible. If that sounds crazy, that you could actually do that as a reasonable person. And that's it. So I'm sure people have a lot of things to say about this stuff. I hope you understand my opinion on this thing. Love to hear yours as well. And thank you guys for your time.